Hello, and thank you for joining me for this yoga class. Today I'll be broadcasting from Bull Creek Park, one of my favorite spots. Take a moment to center yourself, first physically, adjusting the sit bones, and then lengthening up through the spine, broadening through the shoulder girdle, drawing the shoulder blades together and down without losing the expansion of the chest and shoulder girdle. And then taking a few moments to center yourself in your breath, allowing the breath to be smooth and fluid and deep. So the free day of yoga has traditionally taken place on Labor Day for the past 20 some odd years. And Labor Day has a lot of different connotations to different people, but I like the idea of that Joseph Campbell advocated, and Krishnamurti talked about right livelihood. Joseph Campbell would often say things like, follow your bliss, and doors will open where before there were no doors. This idea of right livelihood, of work as something that isn't done for personal survival only, but is done for the benefit of the whole. And as a yoga teacher, I feel very grateful to have found a way that I can work, make a living, but at the same time feel like I'm making a positive difference in the world rather than a negative difference. And the free day of yoga is a chance for yoga teachers throughout Austin and other cities around the country to give back to the community, to show their gratefulness for being given the opportunity to teach. So I'd like to thank you for joining me. And begin by slowing down the breath and smoothing out the breath. Allow the upper chest and shoulders to become passive, and instead breathe into the other areas that are available to you. Perhaps you are able to breathe into the back, into the pelvic floor, into the abdomen, into the lower sides. Allow the face to relax, the jaws, the lips, the tongue. Let the eyes close without squeezing the eyelids shut. Soften the eyeballs, the space behind the eyeballs. And slowly, lazily, delicately begin to move your head around to one side or the other. Not straining, just relaxing the neck and shoulder muscles. And you can allow the shoulders to participate, moving the shoulders. Try to move the shoulders not mechanically, not like a robot, but more sensually, the way a cat might move its shoulders. And coming back to stillness. So today's practice will take a little bit more attention to pandiculation. And pandiculation is sometimes people will mistake it for stretching. And with stretching, all we're doing is lengthening a muscle. In pandiculation, we're lengthening some muscles, we're contracting other muscles, which is similar to an AI stretch. However, it is different in that a pandiculation is an emergent phenomenon. It doesn't start from the cerebral cortex, from the motor cortex. The movement starts from a much more primitive center. It's an emergent phenomenon. It moves through the fascia. It involves the whole body, or it can involve just a small part of the body. and it feels really, really wonderful, and it's instinctive to all animals: cats, dogs, birds, reptiles, kangaroos. All animals pandiculate. Pandiculation, that's stretching, expansion, breathing, starts very early. In fact, it starts, I think, in the second trimester, beginning of second trimester. Babies yawn in the womb and stretch. So yawning is the simplest type of a pandiculation. The mouth opens, which is the stretching component. The throat tightens. If you take your bottom lip down and pull down on your bottom lip, you'll feel your throat tighten. And if you open the mouth, pull down on the bottom lip, that may be all you need to trigger a yawn. Okay? If you take the back of your tongue and lift it up a little bit and pull it back or reach it forward, just move the tongue slightly. Don't think about the movement itself. Think about using the tongue to create delicate, subtle sensations, and then use the tongue to change those sensations. Yawning is a wave. It moves through you. It doesn't stop. If you stop the action, the yawn falls apart. It's like trying to stop a wave in the ocean. Okay? So open your mouth, breathe out, tighten the throat, and see if you can yawn. You can also kind of pump the jaw a little bit. And again, that changes the sensation through the throat, through the fascia there. If you have a really spectacular yawn, you'll know it because it releases nitric oxide and oxytocin, and it also releases opiate molecules, and so you begin to get a sense of well-being. The oxytocin makes you feel more connected, and the nitric oxide opens up the capillary beds and brings fluid into the fascia. So when an animal wakes up from a nap, the first thing it does is it pandiculates, and that is waking up the body but also preparing it for movement. Okay. So now take your arms out to the side, drop your shoulders, don't force them down, just drop them and float the arms, and then move your wrists and kind of expand without losing a lazy heaviness. And as soon as you start to feel a little bit of sensation through the fascia, begin to move a little bit, and then put that together with a yawn. Breathe out, and then breathe in slowly. Open the mouth. Tighten the throat. Yawning with your whole body. And then rolling out the shoulders. Coming into a twist, leading with the right shoulder blade. Take your fingertips behind you, cross the left hand over, lift, rotate. Now, if we move into a strong position, it suppresses the urge to yawn. But if we move into just enough twists that we feel the beginning of a little resistance, not much, just slight, and then we kind of move the ribs around, move the shoulder blades around, and then yawn. And then coming back to center. And then rotating to the left, lift, expand, rotate. And again, resist the urge to push in deeply. A shallow rotation. And then use movements to create delicate sensations. It is by creating a little sensation and moving the sensation through the fascia, through the body, is one of the triggers for yawning. And then if you get the urge, see if you can surrender to the yawn. Coming back to center, circling with the ribs, and reversing. So if you imagine a surfer doesn't control the wave, they ride the wave. The art of surfing is all about identifying the wave, being in the right position at the right time, and then riding it. So the same thing is true with a yawn. We get the urge to yawn constantly throughout the day. But normally we don't even notice the urge. It's so subtle, and it just kind of comes and goes without us noticing. It's only when it's a tsunami does it get our attention and take over the body. So what I'd like for you to do is to pay attention each time you breathe out. Breathe in slowly. And if it turns into an opportunity to yawn, see if you can maneuver the yawn. Just like a surfer trying to get in the right place. Take sensation, move the sensation through the body. Breathe in slowly, tighten the throat, move the tongue. If you put all of that together, you can become very, very adept at yawning almost any time you choose to. Coming into a side stretch now. Take your right fingertips to the ground. Float the left arm. Take the left shoulder blade and the inner armpit back. Lift through both collarbones. Flare the left ribs. Walk the right hand away slightly. Don't let the pelvis tip over. Push with your right hand in order to keep the left sit bone grounded firmly. Coming into a shallow position, and then pendiculating a little bit in the position. Let's see if you can again. Recognize an opportunity to yawn and take advantage of it. Then, working a little deeper, couple more breaths. Coming back to center. Take the left fingertips to the ground. Lift through both collarbones. Open up through the right side. Draw the shoulder blade and inner armpit back, the chest forward and up. Walk the left hand away slightly. Flare the right rib cage. Find a delicate, subtle position. And then play with both shoulder blades, trying to create some sensations that might help trigger a yawn. And then working a little bit deeper into the stretch. Take a breath or two. Come back to center, circle. First one direction, and then the opposite. And then rolling out the shoulders. And coming back to center. Now coming onto your hands and knees for cat-cow. Starting off in a table position, and then on the inhale, lift the tailbone, open the chest and look up. On the exhale, curl the low back, mid back, upper back, finish breathing out, and then letting the movement flow up the length of your spine, coordinating the movement with the rhythm of breath. Now bringing a little more awareness and action into the shoulders and arms and chest. On the exhale, push your hands away from you. Arch the upper back, flare the elbows out, broaden the back. On the inhale, draw the shoulder blades together and down. Draw the elbows in and back and pull the chest forward. So on the exhale, the elbows flare out and away from you in order to open the upper back. On the inhale, the shoulder blades draw together and draw down the back. A few more repetitions, focusing on engaging and working with the shoulder blades to accentuate the action in the upper body. And then improvising, repositioning your hands, adding a little asymmetry to the movements. Focus on feeling the quality of the sensations and moving intuitively. This is a free form cat-cow. Finish with a couple of symmetrical variations and then come back to center. Adding a twist, bring your right elbow or your right shoulder to the floor and then raise your left arm and open into a twist. Come back to center and then do a cat-cow to restore symmetry, to release the twist from the spine. And then when you're ready, second side, bringing the left elbow to the floor and then floating the right arm. You can place the hand on the pelvis or extend. Looking for a comfortable, gentle stretch. You can play with this, adding a little cat-cow, a little movement, playfulness. And then back to center and cat-cow once again, restoring symmetry to the spine. We'll try that again, and you can either stay at the elbow or this time drop your right shoulder all the way to the floor. Your left hand can stay on the ground to take weight off the neck, or if your neck feels safe, extend and twist. Coming back to center and repeating on the second side. Bring your left elbow or left shoulder to the floor. Right hand can stay on the ground or extend up and out into a twist. Take a breath or two and then coming back to center and cat-cow. And then back to neutral, lifting upright for camel. Knees hip width apart. We'll do a twisted camel, turning to your left. Take your left hand and place it on the sacrum, or you can reach back further for the heel. The hips move forward, the chest lifts, and then opening the heart and stretching. Coming to the second side, twist to the right. Take the right hand to the sacrum or to the heel. Float the left arm. Take a breath or two. And then coming back to center and coming down to the floor to table and then cat-cow. Tuck the toes. Lift the knees, walk your feet forward or walk your hands back until you're in a standing forward bend, and then begin warming up the legs, bending the knees and then lifting one heel and then the other, and leaning into a stretch in the hamstrings, but make it gentle. Then go side to side, adding in just a little variety and complexity to the stretch. And then coming back to center. If it feels good, lean in to a deeper stretch. And then coming back up to standing. Coming to the front of your mat. Feet hip width, outer edges parallel. We'll take a few moments now to pandiculate. Float the arms out, and then, as if you were just waking up, begin moving through the fascia, stiffening and expanding at the same time. Try not to think. Remember, pandiculation is an emergent phenomenon, instinctive. The more you think, the less effective it is. And then float the arms down. Shake out the shoulders. And then focus on the quality of the arms. Let the arms get heavy and float. And then add a little shimmy. Shake the arms just a little bit to get kind of a jello feel in the muscles and in the fascia. And then that helps you to yawn. Indulge the yawn. Now we can add a little dynamic stretching. Dynamic stretching, we bounce, but we don't bounce into discomfort. We bounce into a very gentle range of motion that creates a pleasant sensation. And as you're doing that, see if that again can be used to stimulate the yawning reflex. Remember, the more you yawn, the more nitric oxide and oxytocin and opiates your body begins to release, and the more fluid begins to move out into the fascia and through the body. Come back to center. Coming to the front of your mat. Now we'll hold an overhead stretch. So from Tadasana, float the arms down and then sweep overhead. Draw up on the pelvic floor, draw back on the abdomen and lift the chest, sink the shoulder blades. Draw the inner armpits back and down, the chest forward and up, and keep the abdomen firm. And then release, and then try again. Float the arms out and up, and once again lifting the pelvic floor, firming the abdomen, and then releasing. Now you'll be lifting through the chest, firming the abdomen, and then add one more action. Let the tailbone descend. So the chest is lifting, the tailbone is sinking, and the abdomen is drawn back and firmed in. And use that to support the core as you begin to work your shoulders back in your overhead stretch. Then reach the hips back and come down halfway, supporting weight with hands on thighs, and then buckle the knees, roll up, float the arm overhead, and breathe in. Vinyasa Sun Salutation. Reach the hips back, release a little bit further into your forward bend, roll up, knees buckling, stack the vertebra, overhead stretch. Working with your own rhythm of breathing now. Roll up like a rag doll, buckling the knees and then working the overhead stretch. Two or three more repetitions. Hold your next overhead stretch. Coming back to prayer position, full 12-step sun salutation. On the exhale, release the arms, sweep up on the inhale. Swan dive on the exhale. Place fingertips even with the big toes, and then take the right leg and reach it back into a deep lunge. Hold your breath for a moment as you step back with the left leg into plank. Press down slowly with control. Draw through into cobra. Roll the shoulders back, reach the chest forward, press the tops of the feet into the floor. Play here for a moment, just working out the back muscles. And then, when you're ready, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and reach back into down dog. And playing with your down dog, bend one knee then the other, roll the hips, roll the shoulders, and then gradually begin to organize the pose, applying any universal principles you're familiar with. Take a breath or two. Any transition to a lunge is fine. A lot of people struggle with this transition, so if you struggle, set your left knee on the floor, lift the right hand, step the right foot all the way up to the front of your mat. On the exhale, step up the left foot into a forward bend. On the inhale, return to an overhead stretch, lifting the pelvic floor, firming the abdomen, opening the chest, and then back to prayer. Second side, sweep up as you breathe in. Swan dive as you breathe out. Fingers even with the big toe, left foot leading as you step back into a deep lunge. Hold your breath for a moment as you step back into plank, and on the exhale, press down. On the inhale, draw through into cobra. Take a breath or two, reaching the chest forward, rolling the shoulders back, pressing the feet down. When you're ready, transitioning into downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, reach the hips back. If the legs are tight, walk the dog, bending and straightening, alternating legs. Take a breath or two. When you're ready, set the right knee down, step the left foot through. Big lunge on the inhale. Standing forward bend on the exhale. Overhead stretch as you breathe in and back to center. Next, working with Trikonasana, triangle pose. Step wide, turn your left foot out, turn the right foot in. Shift your hips to the right, tilt the pelvis. Lengthen the left side of the rib cage. Draw the shoulder blades together and down, open the heart. If you know how to spiral the legs, rooting down through the ball of the big toe, the four corners of the heel, lifting up and externally rotating the thigh. Finding a steady, comfortable position that you can breathe into. If the body begins to release and open into the pose, work your way a little deeper, but don't push. Looking for steadiness and comfort. Take a breath or two. When you're ready, come up and rotate. Turning the right foot out, turn the left foot in. Shift your hips to the left, tilt the pelvis. Keep the right side of the rib cage long, the chest open. Coming into a gentle position, giving the body time to relax and adjust and accommodate. And then gradually working your way a little deeper if it feels pleasant and healthy. Turn your attention back to the breath, slowing the breath down, steadying the breath, the mind, and the body. Spiraling the legs, rooting through the feet into the earth. Take a few more breaths here. And when you're finished, a forward bend. Keeping the feet fairly wide, turn the feet pigeon-toed, and then hang into the forward bend, sway a little left and right. And then coming up and going back to the first side. Turn the left foot out, right foot in. This time though, bend the left knee to 90 degrees. There'll be a tendency to lean out over the left leg, so keep your shoulders directly above the hips. Virabhadrasana 2. Float the chest, sink the shoulders, open the heart. The right leg is strong with a spiraling action, keeping the center of the kneecap lined up with the second toe. The left leg is also strong, drawing up and externally rotating the left thigh. Lifting the pelvis, firming the abdomen, floating the chest, breathing steady and slow and smooth. Take a breath, and then when you're ready, switch sides, turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in, and lunge. Once again, squaring up the shoulders with the hips. The back leg is straight and strong, sinking your weight into that left hip socket. The legs are strong and working, the upper body is floating. Once again, slow the breath down in order to steady the mind. On the inhale, strengthen the legs. On the exhale, remembering to relax the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. Finishing with a forward bend. Feet wide, turn pigeon-toed. Hang into the forward bend, sway a little left and right. And then stepping the feet together, rolling up and coming up to the front of your mat. Virabhadrasana 1. Take your left leg back into a deep lunge, float the arms overhead, lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, float the chest forward and up, shoulder blades back and down. The back heel can either stay on the floor or, if you prefer, float the back heel off the ground in order to rotate your hips to face forward. Lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, lift the chest, draw the inner armpits back, sink the shoulder blades down, and the back leg solid and strong. When you're ready, step up and repeat on the second side. Once again, deciding whether to float the heel off the ground in order to rotate the hips more strongly or to keep it on the floor for extra balance. Keep the back leg solid, all the muscles in the thigh squeezing the thigh bone, the pelvic floor lifting, the abdomen drawing back, the chest floating. When you're finished, come back to center, feet wide, turn the left foot out, turn the right foot in, extended lateral angle, lengthening, exaggerate that extension through the left side of the rib cage, and then roll the right shoulder back. Again, keep the back leg strong. If you get tired, lean on the left arm, supporting weight on the thigh. If you feel you have the strength, take all of the weight out of the left arm and use your core. When you're ready, come up and rotate. Turn the right foot out, turn the left foot in, bend the right knee, lengthen the right side of the rib cage, bring the hand to the floor or bring your elbow to your thigh. Extend through the left arm. Draw the left shoulder back. Strengthen the legs and breathe into this position. Steady, deliberate. Couple more breaths. And coming back up, turning the feet pigeon-toed. And then turn the left foot out. A little narrower stance now. Half moon. Shift your weight to the left. Bring your left fingertips to the floor. Float the back leg. Float the right hand up towards the ceiling. Keep looking at the floor for balance. Take the weight out of the left hand. Don't lean on the hand, just steadying yourself lightly with the fingertips on the floor. If you want more challenge, turn your head to look straight ahead or to look up to the ceiling. Switching sides when you're ready, turn the right foot out. Bend the right knee. Bring the right fingertips to the floor. Float the left leg. Float the left arm. Shift the weight back into your right heel and take the weight out of the right arm. The fingertips touch the floor lightly as a kinesthetic drishti, a focal point for the mind. Take a breath or two. And then stepping out. Forward bend, keeping your feet wide. And you can experiment with taking your feet a little bit wider or closer together, with bending one knee or the other, leaning to the left or to the right. Next we'll be coming into a modified pigeon pose, coming into it from the lunge. So rotate to your left. So you're in a lunge, lower the right knee to the floor. Let the left knee drop out to the side and then sink both hips. And then experiment. Reposition your back leg, walking it to the left or to the right, forward or backward. Experiment with your upper body, walking your hands to the left or to the right. Find a healthy, pleasant stretch in the left hip, outer thigh, or buttocks without straining the left knee. And then stepping back into downward facing dog, and then step the right leg up, big lunge. Drop the right knee out to the side. And then experiment coming down onto one elbow or the other, or both, or coming up onto your fingertips. Shifting your hips left or right. Repositioning the back leg. All the while breathing and feeling your way into the stretch. Downward facing dog. Working the pose for a few breaths. And then coming down for cat-cow. Next, we'll work with the back roll. If you have your own roller, take a moment to set that up. If not, you can use a blanket and folding your blanket so it's long and thin, and then rolling up your blanket tightly from one end to the other. The nice thing about a rolled up blanket is that you can unroll it so that you can get the size of the blanket exactly to the needs of the body. So as you're working with this, if it's too easy, fold it a little differently, roll it up thicker. On the other hand, if you hit a problem area where you can't relax, unroll the blanket. Make it small enough that you can. Start with the roller underneath the middle of the shoulder blades with the arms extended. Take a few breaths and relax into that position, opening the chest and shoulders. Every 4 or 5 breaths, use your legs to push yourself over the top of the roller so that gradually you'll begin to work your way down the length of the spine, one vertebra at a time. In each position, breathing deeply, using your exhale to relax, to surrender. In each new position, make sure that it is comfortable, not too intense. When the roller gets below the midpoint, you can reach it with your hands. And from that point on, adjust by lifting the hips higher, and with your hands, reposition the roller and then set the hips down again, working down into the low back. When you're finished, remove the blanket, set it to one side, and then draw the knees into your chest, rock side to side. And then cradle. We do a variation of cradle. Grab the left knee, or you can grab the heel with the right hand, and then draw the heel or the heel and the knee in towards you and swing the knee to the left or to the right, or line up the heel directly above the knee and the shoulder and draw down. Just improvising, creating healthy, pleasant stretches in the hips, outer thighs and buttocks, and then switching sides. The left hand grabbing the right heel, the right hand holding the knee, creating some variety and complexity in the stretches in the right hip, outer thigh or buttocks. And then bringing both feet to the floor, stretching overhead, and then pandiculating, stretching with the whole body. And then hug both knees into your chest. And we'll finish with a spinal twist. Either bring both knees to your chest or just the right knee to your chest, and then roll the hips to the left and turn the upper body to the right until you find a healthy, pleasant stretch. Any variation of a twist is fine as long as you're comfortable. Pay attention to the breath, breathing slow and deep and steady. And then, when you're ready, switching sides. Roll the legs to the right, turn the upper body to the left. Letting the breath move through the body freely. And then coming back to center, hugging your knees, rocking side to side. And getting ready for Shavasana. If you're comfortable with your legs extended straight, that's fine. If you need some support, take a moment to put something under the knees. Or if you need something under your neck, that's fine. The back of the neck is long. The arms are spaced evenly, the legs are spaced evenly. With each exhale, begin relaxing. See if you can almost hypnotize yourself. Let the whole body get heavier and heavier with each exhalation. Relaxing the face, the forehead, the eyebrows, the eyelids, the eyeballs. The jaws, the lips, the tongue, and the mouth. Fingers, hands, arms, and shoulders. The feet, the ankles, the calves, the knees, and the thighs. Loosening hips, relaxing the buttocks. And then when you're ready, yawn and pandiculate. You can do a lazy pandiculation where you focus on heaviness and laziness as you stretch, or you can stiffen the body and stretch. Again, the less thinking involved, the better. Then roll to one side and coming up to a comfortable seated position. And we'll sit for about 5 minutes for meditation. Take a few moments to make sure you have whatever you need to be comfortable. If you can't find a comfortable seated position, you can sit in a chair, or you can even lay down if you prefer. Find good posture, but let any effort fall away without slumping. Any form of meditation is fine, eyes open or closed as you prefer. Allow the breath to become fluid, smooth, steady, and slow. Focus on the breath and let the body fall away.
Bring your attention back now to the breathing and begin to deepen the breath. Breathe into the upper, mid, and low back slightly, then more fully into the belly, and then continue to breathe up into the ribs and into the chest and shoulders with a yogic complete breath. And then releasing into a forward bend, releasing any tension from the back muscles. Coming back to a more comfortable seated position. And then one more opportunity to practice pandiculating and yawning. Play with the shoulders, the ribs. Tighten the throat. Lift the root of the tongue. And then roll out the shoulders. Coming back to center.
I'd like to thank you for joining me for this session, and I hope you have a wonderful free day of yoga, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Namaste.